We are live. We are live. Welcome to college football. Saturday night is all right for PATC. Come on into the studio. Come on in. Everybody is welcome. The studio sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. If you want to support this rebel outpost, if you want to support this true home for the college football sickos with a donation, help us keep the lights on, hit that $sign where you make a comment, and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. It is Saturday night. We've got a stacked show as we are heading towards ACC Media Days, the Big Ten Media Days. We are going to set the table. We are going to go through Bill Connelly's. Now, we've done this with every other conference. We look at his data, his continuity table, his metrics, who's returning on offense and defense, the percentages, the projections. It don't look all that good for my Golden Gophers, but it does look good for a few Big Ten teams. So we are going to go through that, and we're going to have some fun. We're also going to put the Oregon Ducks under the spotlight. The Oregon Ducks under the PATC spotlight as we continue our spotlight series, putting one team under the bright lights. We're going to go through it. I got to tell you, I'm a little bit more optimistic. Now, look, in my way too early college football playoff predictions, I've got the Oregon Ducks at an 11th seed. At an 11th seed. Now, hopefully I can find that. Number 11, playing the LSU Tigers in LSU in the first round. And then Mr. Evan Stewart got injured, the wide receiver. And, I was thinking, what am I going to do with the Ducks now? What am I going to do with the Ducks when Greg the Gold, yes, Greg the Gold makes his college football playoff predictions official in the month of August? I got to tell you, I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic about the Oregon Ducks today than I was a couple of weeks ago. They've got a lot of talent. They've got a lot of talent. And they've got a good coaching staff. And I think they got a pretty good schedule. It's going to, again, it's going to be, they need some guys who are projected to do very well this year. They need a couple of those guys to pop. It's going to be an exciting team to watch. They've got some dudes. They've got some dudes on defense that we're not even going to get to today. Ungo Angale, for one. The defensive end, the pass rushing machine. We're not even, well, I just did talk about them. But we're not even, they've got dudes on this team. But Dante Moore. A lot of promise. Not a whole lot of production, but then again, you should not expect a whole lot of production from a true freshman playing at UCLA. But he did okay. Not great. He did okay. Then he played a year under Dylan Gabriel, a great place to be. The catbird seat. Learning, looking, watching Mr. Gabriel prepare. That's pretty good, man. And he's playing under a head coach, an offensive system. They've got weapons. They've got a tough running back. Oregon's got a really tough running, but we are going to talk about that. I don't think people understand how tough Misty Hughes is. And I talked about it when we did the Spotlight show on the Duke Blue Devils. People looking at Mr. Mensah, oh yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, he showed promise at Tulane. Pretty good quarterback. Transferred to Duke. Yeah, he's all right. He's better than okay. He's better than all right. Mensah is going to be very good for Duke. Duke football fans, oh man, I can't wait. It's going to be very exciting for Duke. But getting back to Mekhi Hughes. Guys, Tulane had a very good defense last year. They're going to have an excellent defense this year. I will make sure we do a Tulane Spotlight show before the kickoff in Dublin, Ireland on August 23rd. Iowa State, Kansas State. Can't wait. I can't wait. But Tulane had a really good defense. Yeah, Kansas State sort of had their way against Tulane last year. But Tulane had their way against Kansas State's defense. But it wasn't because of Tulane's offensive line. No. Mekhi Hughes had to break tackles deep in his own backfield. Mensah was running for his life during the season. Mekhi Hughes at Oregon. I got to tell you, I'm a little scared for the rest of the Big Ten. I'm a little scared for the rest of the Big Ten. And then you talk about, well, you know what? We'll wait on it. We're going to do the Oregon Spotlight. We will get to it. I promise. I promise. I promise. I promise. And then we're going to get to a little something. If you remember, let me take a drink. This could be a long, long night. Let me take a drink. I can't remember when it was. I can check. I guess I can check my emails. We did a live show. I want to say, what are we in July? Early in 2025 or very late in 2024. We did a live show. We did a couple of them. And we had the North Carolina Money Perch. His very latest statement to us was, one, North Carolina was going to put a stake in the ground in August if Florida State and Clemson and the ACC can't settle their courts, can't settle what's going on in the court. And there was other few. Now, all that has happened. Everything that has happened has been to the delight of Florida State and Clemson. Got a massive victory. Massive victory. And North Carolina is pleased that Florida State, Clemson, and the ACC are out of the courts. So North Carolina got what they wanted. They got what they wanted. And what they wanted was freedom of options. They have options. They have options. And if you remember, when we did that live show 6 months ago, whatever, the North Carolina Money Perch told BTM and his associates, and they passed it along to me, and I was afraid to talk about it, but he said dissolution is back on the table as a possibility once everybody gets out of the courts. We talked about it. I talked about it in front of this camera. I was afraid to. But then we got this report about what was hidden in the settlement. Not hidden, but it was page 60-something or 70-something. Matt Baker, the great Matt Baker from The Athletic, reported to all of us that in that report, there is a 6-team, if there's a part in there, if there's 6 or more teams, 6 or more schools, they can leave the ACC to join a single sport conference or league, an association, whatever. And they're only going to have to pay 50% of what they are currently owed when it comes to the settlement terms of like $175 million, but then it goes down so much money per year until it goes to $75 million. In other words, no, I'm sorry, it starts at $165. In other words, the 6 schools leaving, 6 or more, to join a single football conference. That's the dissolution theory coming to life. And we did a live show on that once the Matt Baker report came out. Well, I am here to report for the first time in many months, and what the North Carolina Money Perch has been telling us, excuse my language, it is Saturday night, so cover your children's ears. But what the North Carolina Money Perch has been telling us has been dead bleeping accurate for the last couple of years. He's given us the heads up on the rock fight in Chapel Hill before Kevin Gusowich even was booted, even when he left to Michigan State. He's been dead nuts. And now he's given us some more information. He's given us some more information in the last 24 hours. And I'm good to go with it. Nothing has been settled. Now, you're going to hear my lecture again. Nothing has been decided. Nothing has been settled. These are options, baby. These are options. There is a lot of options out there. They've got freedom, man. Florida State's got freedom to talk to anybody they want. Clemson's got freedom to talk to anybody they want. Miami's got freedom to talk to anybody they want. Virginia Tech's got freedom to talk to anybody they want. Duke, all of them. For 2 years, I sat here in the front of the microphone and I said, no, 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 no. I was Dr. No. I kept repeating myself over and over and over again when all these reports saying that this school is talking to that conference and that school has an invitation from that conference. And I said, hooey. I didn't say hooey, but I said it wasn't possible. And it wasn't. Phillips went to the commissioners and reminded all of them, no. You can't be talking. You can't be talking to my schools. Not when the gore is so far out, it's, no first party talks. And the commissioners, now I wasn't there in the room, but I can tell you the commissioners most likely nodded their head, yes, of course. And that has been true all the way up until a little bit ago when Florida State and Clemson won their smashing victories in the court. Well, with everybody talking with everybody, everyone is lining up their options. The conferences are lining up their options. They're talking to private capital. They're talking to third-party money. They're talking to big old. These conferences, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know what general term we want to use, but I'm going to go ahead and use the term strategic partner. Each one of these conferences are going to attach themselves to a strategic partner that is beyond their current relationships with their current media partners. But having said all that, one of the options that was made sure to get done was the old 6 or more schools can leave the conference for no more than a few million dollars, $80 million, 82, 83, that's the highest amount, to join a single football conference, the dissolution theory. Why am I bringing it up again tonight? Number one, I think when I got this information here in the last 24 hours, it kind of, holy smokes, I forgot about this, I forgot about that, I forgot about this. But I can confirm to you tonight that there has been, according to the North Carolina Money Perch, who again has been dead bleeping nails on this, has said not only is it a potential outcome, schools in the ACC are talking about the different options within the dissolution theory. It doesn't mean it's going to happen tonight. It doesn't mean it's going to happen next week. It does mean It could mean. Hopefully it means. I don't know. I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be there. They would not allow the fat guy from Minnesota in the doors. But maybe, just maybe, someone will ask a question about that part of the settlement. We're 6 teams at once. Maybe somebody at the ACC Media Days will ask Miami's athletic director, Radakovich, what did you exactly mean, Mr. Radakovich, when you said earlier this year that maybe, just maybe, if the SEC goes to 9 conference games, maybe we need to split into 2 different divisions. 2 different divisions. 1 brand and 1 non-brand. What did you mean by that, Radakovich? Are we going to get a question like that? Are we going to get a question? Are we going to get a certain particular Clemson question about their scheduling deal with the Fighting Irish in making sure that if the dissolution comes to life and it goes down one particular pathway, one particular option, that Clemson has themselves a out-of-conference scheduling deal with Notre Dame that has nothing to do with the ACC agreement with Notre Dame. Is that why Clemson nailed that sucker down and made sure it was completely separate from any ACC deal? If Clemson is not part of the ACC, that they're a part of this new single sport conference named something else? So we are going to talk about that in the back end of our monologue. We have got a lot to get through. We've got a lot to get through. It is Saturday night, all right, for PATC. Look, how many Saturdays are we away from college football? Not many. I'm going to be spending a lot of time with you all on Saturday nights watch parties. I've already made the announcement on X. It is official. It is official. Thursday, August 28th, double PATC watch party. Double. Beginning with those Buffalo Bulls. The MAC. Going to be considered one of the top 3 teams. Predictions, everybody, they're all out there. The Buffalo Bulls, going to be one of the top 3 teams in the MAC. They visit Huntington Bank Stadium, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Buffalo Bulls against my beloved Golden Gophers, as I do my annual watch party to begin the season, having my Golden Gophers. But the doubleheader, the one that comes on an hour later, going to be the main game. Going to be the main game of the double watch party. The Cincinnati Bearcats, led by the great defensive tackle, Deontay Corleone, the godfather of the defensive line. The Bearcats, Satterfield versus Dylan Raiola, Matt Rule, and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. We are going to do a double watch party on August 28th. If you've never joined our watch parties, we have a hell of a time. We breathe and die every play. We have the chalkboard up here, the black chalkboard up there. That is our scoreboard. We have a lot of fun. So, anyways, let's get to it. The Almighty Finn is in the house. Florida man. Clemson alumnus is here. Don Scruggs is here. Ryan Brooks, Cam Free Zone. Kiss Cam Free Zone. You got that right. R. Webb is in the house. Still Austin is here. MBM Go Pokes. Sean made it. Skaven, yes, Mr. Cornhusker. Mr. Nittany Lion, Bob Swanger is in the house. Daniel Gorby, Seminole. Florida Man, Deadeye, yo Greg, yo Deadeye. Humble Bumble Duck, Humble Bumble Duck is in the house. And I am doing a watch party. An Oregon Duck watch party. We could come to blows here. Mick Stevens is in the house. Bruce Harris is here. Secret Agent is here. Dan the Man, Don Scruggs is in the house. Old Army 02, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. Chad Bracey. Morris Simmons, of course. Tim Bales, of course. N.E. Go Ducks. Cranky Tiger. K. Newen is here. Can't wait for the Super League. Wow. K is waiting for the Super League. Ron Lowney is in the house. Edward the Auburn Tiger. Is Auburn getting ready for the Baylor Bears? That's going to be a fun game. That is going to be a fun game. G. Brew is here. Josh Hino is here. Jimmy. I'm doing the spotlight right now. My Oregon concerns quarterback, linebacker. Okay, here we go. Jimmy, thank you so much for a gift membership. Mr. Duck, Jimmy Austin. And Gene Calderon got the gift of membership. Gene, when you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Jimmy for his generosity. Hey, Jimmy, I do appreciate all that you have done for this program, all the support, all the gifted memberships. It has not gone unnoticed. Thank you, Jimmy, so very much. Both of you are knighted. Officially. Cloak and dagger. Thank you, Jimmy. Gene, when you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy, so much. Okay, let's get to it. We've got a lot to get to tonight. We start with Dante Moore. A lot of promise. Going into his third year in college football. I like the fact that he learned from Dylan Gabriel. Last year, I don't think you can put a price on that. Dante Moore being the Oregon quarterback last year. Dante Moore being on the roster last year is so much more valuable than if he came in a transfer this year. And another thing. Did you see the Oregon Ducks? Really go after a quarterback in the portal that would take Dante's Moore job, that could challenge him for the job? No, you didn't. In my opinion, that means they're good. Mr. Lanning is good. They are good. They are good with having Dante Moore as the quarterback. Will Stein is fine. Offensive coordinator Will Stein is fine with Moore at the quarterback. So, again, passed over 1,600 yards in his 2 years, 9 touchdown interceptions, 54% completion percentage, minus 78 yards rushing against sacks. Yards on sacks is compiled into your yards rushing when it comes to college quarterbacks. Dante Moore, is he ready in year 3? Well, Oregon, Stein and Lanning, they believe yes. Humble Bumble Duck, Will Stein will use Dante Moore quite a bit differently than Chip did. It will be a lot more underneath and conservative. Works great until you play against real defenses. Dylan Gabriel did a lot of underneath stuff. The great thing about the Oregon Ducks, in my opinion, just my opinion, sitting out here in Minnesota, where we are happy if we can complete one modern day forward pass. Although last year we had a good year with Max Brosmer, but he's gone. He's gone. He's going to be the Vikings' third string quarterback. The thing about the Oregon Ducks is they've always got a hot route. They've always got a guy available. They've always have a guy. They know where to go with the ball. They've always got that check down. They've always got that hot release in their offense. In my opinion. And people might get frustrated about it, but my goodness, it works, especially when you have the skill level, the athletes that Oregon has. And Oregon doesn't ask their quarterback to run the ball. They don't have 15 design. Mariota's not, nowadays, I'm talking nowadays, because it doesn't work in the Big Ten. This is not a Scott Frost offense. But let me go to a guy that I know who's ready to play. I know who is ready to play. Mekhi Hughes. Again, this kid is... When it was announced that he was going to the Oregon Ducks out of the portal, and I know that my Gophers play Oregon, my heart dropped. I could not swallow for like 3 minutes. Mekhi Hughes is going to that game is a Friday night. I got to make sure I'm busy that Friday night. Mekhi Hughes is so extremely tough. If you go watch his highlights, go watch what he did at Tulane. The year before, it's been 2 years of production. 2 years of production, and ladies and gentlemen, the Green Wave was not opening up big lanes for Hughes to rush through. Mekhi Hughes would get hit before he got to the line of scrimmage on a large percentage of the rushing plays. That ain't going to happen in Oregon. Let me say it this way. I've got PATC Heisman Watch. I've got 6 guys on that Heisman Watch. Okay, I got Jeremiah Smith. I got Williams. I got Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State. Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame. And then the 4 quarterbacks. Sam Levitt. I've got Nussmeier. I've got Manning. And I've got Klubnik. Those are my 6 guys. If I had it out to 10, if I put it out to the top 10, Williams, Alabama, great wide receiver going in the second year, he's going to be a problem. And this guy would be in my top 10. Mekhi Hughes would be in my top 10 if my list went out to 10 names. That's how big a year, how big an impactful year I think Mekhi Hughes is going to have. And this guy's going to... I don't want to put too much on this kid, but he's going to rush for more than 1,400 yards. And he's going to catch more than 9 receptions. No, I do not have Gunnar Stockton. I do not have Gunnar Stockton in my... sorry, Don Scruggs. I would have Frazier. I would have Frazier in my top 10, but I don't think Georgia's going to give him the football again. Give Frazier the ball. Kirby Smart. Give Frazier the ball. But I know Oregon's going to give Hughes the ball. I know that's going to happen. Just going to have a monster year. He's going to have a monster year. And then Kenyon Sadiq. You know, he's a different, a phenomenal athlete. Does a whole lot of things for Oregon. Did a whole lot of things in the special teams at Oregon. Did a little this, did a little that, emphasis on the that. He threw a pass. This guy did everything. The last spotlight we did was the Missouri Tigers, and we talked a little bit about their tight end, Brett Norfleet, who caught 20-some balls in his second year, going in his third year. I think Norfleet is going to be a very impactful tight end for the Mizzou Tigers. Somebody that Pribula is going to look for, go for, and he's going to have a big year. Kenyon Sadiq is going to have a monster year this year. He's going to have a monster year this year. Freak of an athlete. I tell you what, the Gophers, God bless my Minnesota Golden Gophers. I'm not even going to pretend to do Gopher propaganda on this. We don't have a linebacker that can guard Kenyon. We don't have a linebacker that can guard me, for God's sakes. Again, I got to be busy that Friday night. Maybe that would be a good day for my funeral. Maybe that is the day that I figure out that will be my funeral, because Kenyon Sadiq is going to have a monster season. A monster season for the Oregon Ducks. Again, a great player for Dante Moore to go for, to look at. Now, again, we've gone through some guys like Mekhi Hughes is going to have a very productive season. Sadiq is going to have a very productive season. Evan Stewart got injured. So they're going to need possibly this guy. DeCorian Moore. Oregon can't stop talking about him. And I don't blame him. Going to be a true freshman. Number one wideout in the high school class. 1040, 100 meter, 2170, 200 meter. I don't know, man. He's again, I gotta figure out something to do on, what is it, November 14th. November 14th, I cannot be in the house. I gotta be somewhere else. I'm gonna take my wife to a movie that night. Oregon Ducks are absolutely loaded with potential and with production. And then what does Oregon do in the portal? What does Oregon do in the portal? Tough Tony. Greg, have you done a members-only show on the return of Hoosier the Bison? I don't do members-only shows. Tony, all my shows, I do members episodes. But live shows, all my episode, I've talked about Hoosier the Bison. But I think I did it on a live show. I'm pretty sure I did it on a live show. I showed pictures of what Hoosier the Bison looked like in the 1960s. I've talked about it, Tony. I just can't remember if it was on an episode or a live show, but I've done it. Humble Bumble Duck. I was at the Oregon spring game, and I was actually pretty impressed with the DeCorian Moore. Really good ball awareness. I was more impressed than I expected. Well, he's probably going to be put into action a little bit quicker, than they were probably expecting. Now, the Oregon Ducks then go ahead and they picked up Dillian Thinneman from the Purdue Boilermakers. Now, look, the Purdue Boilermakers were horrible last year, but they had about 5-6 dudes on that team. Like guys who could really play. And they were not seniors. Well, guess what happened? Purdue was terrible, and they're all left in the portal, and a Gopher got a player. Everybody got a... I feel bad for the Boilermakers. They're not going to be the Spoilermakers this year. They lost their leader. They lost their captain. Dillian Thinneman went to the Oregon Ducks. This guy has put together a freshman season and a sophomore season that is rarely ever seen. Over 100 tackles in his first 2 years as a safety. If he gets his paws on you, you're down. If he gets his paws on you, you're done. A great safety. And I remember watching this guy in a Purdue game. I don't remember who they were playing. They were playing a G5 opponent. This was 2 years ago when Thinneman was a true freshman. And at the beginning, and it was like the first or second game in the season, I was watching the game, and Thinneman was fantastic. And they kept saying, true freshman Thinneman, true. I'm like, holy smokes, who is this kid? Well, now he's at Oregon, and the Oregon Duck fans, he's fantastic. I always talk about my Corey Perch at Minnesota. Caleb Downs, Corey Perch, Thinneman. There are some incredible safeties in the Big Ten. You look at now we're not even going, I don't have time, and we only go through about 5 players a team when we come to our Spotlight series. When I do my official prediction of the Oregon Ducks, when I do the Big Ten rankings, I'll talk more about their players. We'll hit the Ducks again, just like everybody else. Before the kickoff happens in Dublin, Ireland, Oregon football schedule. The Oregon Ducks football schedule. That Friday, November 14th game on Fox. I got something in my throat. Excuse me. Maybe they'll move that game to FS1 with any luck. But anyways, the Ducks play Oklahoma State on CBS. Oh boy, Cowboys, I hope you're ready. At Northwestern. Home against Oregon State. Oregon State, the Civil War. Then at Penn State, NBC, being simulcast on Peacock. Holy smokes. Now that is an NBC game. Oregon, Penn State, probably going to be a whiteout, right? Yeah, it was a hairball. Gee, Brew. I'm all right. I'm not scared. I'm not scared of no Ducks. I'm not scared of no Ducks. I'm not scared because I'm going to make sure I am not home that night. Indiana. At Penn State, at home against Indiana. There is a bye week in there between Penn State and Indiana. A beautiful spot for a bye week. Beautiful. Either you're coming down after that big win against Penn State, or you're picking yourself up after a tough loss at Penn State. Either way, that bye week is a perfect spot. And then Oregon Ducks have a bye week between Wisconsin and Iowa. That's another good spot for a bye week. And hopefully my Minnesotan Golden Gophers benefit from the fact that the Ducks are playing at Iowa Saturday, and then USC the following Saturday against USC. So they're going to be looking ahead of USC. They're going to be looking ahead when they play in the Gophers. They're going to forget about that Friday night game against the Gophers. And then Oregon finished the season against their Northwest rival, the Washington Huskies. By the way, tomorrow we are going to be doing a spotlight on the Washington Huskies. I can't wait for that. They've got a couple of guys, well, the quarterback, for one, full of potential. We're going to talk about it. But there is the Oregon Ducks regular season. And again, looking at their schedule, looking at their schedule, they're not playing Michigan. They're not playing Ohio State. They're playing USC. They're playing Penn State. They're not playing Illinois. They are playing Indiana, but they got them at home. They got USC at home. I think that is a really good schedule. I got Oregon. I am more committed to Oregon getting into the playoffs now than I was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago after the Evan Stewart injury. The question I have, and we're going to be talking about it this week, am I going to have a fourth Big Ten team make the playoffs? I do not have a fourth Big Ten team making the playoffs now. And I think the chances, when I do my August official predictions, I think my chances of having a fourth Big Ten team make the playoffs is really, really small. Really small. Because the teams that are close, knocking on the door, your Illinois, your Indiana, your Michigan. I mean, Michigan, Bryce Underwood. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I've got them all beating each other up. I got them all just missing out. It looks like I'm going to stay with three teams: Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State. Plus, I have fallen in love with the Missouri Tigers. I think they're going to make it. So anyways, we'll get into that this week. We will get into that this week. I got the Southeastern Conference having 4 teams in the playoffs. 4 of them. And none of them are Alabama. Greg the Gold. I do not have 7. I got 4. No Indiana, no Illinois, no. I've got them right there, but I don't got either one. You know, I see when you I got to tell you, same thing happened last year when I made my predictions for the college football playoffs this year. Do a spotlight. You're drilling down to all these teams. You're looking at the schedule. You're looking at the coordinator changes. I'm okay with I'm if they move the playoffs to 16 or 18, I'm fine with it. Because I think the way the football is now, where there's rev share, NIL, and the talent's being spread a little bit more, it's an expanded playoffs to 16 or 18. I'm fine with it because I think there's going to be some real high quality good teams that I think that can make a run in the playoffs, but they're not going to make it. They're going to be at 13, 14, 15, 16. And I don't think there's no way I would have said that a decade ago. A decade ago, looking at the 15th, 14th, 13th ranked team, no. But nowadays, you know, the Buckeyes won the national championship last year as the 4th. They placed 4th in the Big Ten. with these large imbalanced schedules within these conferences, we really don't know what's going to happen. It's the beauty of it, man. It's the beauty of it. We saw the Arizona State Sun Devils, that most of us had them ranked dead last in their conference. Not only did they win the Big 12 championship, but they were an eyelash away from beating the Texas Longhorns. And where did we have them ranked before the start of the season? Sam Leavitt, man, who's going to be this year's Sam Leavitt? You know there's going to be one. You know there's going to be a Sam Leavitt this year that's going to take college football by storm, a quarterback that nobody is talking about. It could be Mr. Mendoza from Indiana. It could be. It could be Bo Pribula of Missouri. We shall find out. But anyways, that is your Oregon. It could be Haas Heine, the speedster. Oklahoma State Cowboy. Are you going to be able to catch him? Are you going to be able to defend against him, Big 12 opponents? I don't know. And saying, I mean, I ain't saying, look, I'm going to get in trouble when I say this. I'm going to get in trouble when I say this. The reports, the rumor, the steam, whatever is coming out of Columbus, the podcasters, Buckeye podcasters, they are being very cautious about what they are saying about saying. I don't know what that means. I ain't saying, but I'm saying. I don't know what that means when they're saying about saying. That's all I'm going to say. And then Dedmon. We're going to talk about Dedmon next year. Tomorrow. Okay. Let's talk about Bill Connelly, the Big Ten. Again, we're going into Big Ten Media Days. First of all, let me just remind everybody, Big Ten Media Days, July 22nd, that's a Tuesday. Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, Nebraska, Ohio State, Rutgers, July 23rd, Minnesota, Northwestern, Oregon, Penn State, Washington, Wisconsin. July 24th, Iowa, Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue, UCLA, USC. That is your media day schedule. Well, we've been doing this with every conference. We've been breaking it down. No, we haven't been breaking it down, but we've been reporting on Bill Connelly's breakdown, SP Plus, on every conference that he's done. Now he's done the Big Ten. And we're going to go through it real quick. Obviously, Ohio State has a chance to repeat. That's how life works when you have the blue chippers galore and two of the 5 or so best players in the country. But after 2 years of completed redemption arcs, the ultimate breakthrough in the redemption could be on the horizon this fall after 11 seasons, 5 top 10 finishes, and of course, 10 losses to the Buckeyes. James Franklin appears to have put together his most complete Penn State team yet, one that has received plenty of hype in the way to early rankings. An easy early schedule means Penn State probably won't be tested until about week 5 this fall. In the meantime, Ohio State and Michigan play huge early games. Oklahoma, Texas. And we get to keep our eye out for this year's Indiana, and it could be Indiana, an upstart with just the right transfer and just the right schedule. This year, Illinois, a team that gets just the right breaks and capitalizes on them. Who lives up to the hype or doesn't? Who surprises us this time around? Let's preview the Big Ten. Here is the 2024 recap. Oregon finished at the top, 9-0 in the conference. Penn State, Indiana, the Buckeyes came in fourth in the conference. Fourth. Hawkeyes came in fifth. Illinois tied with Iowa, but in the tiebreakers, Iowa gets it. Illinois, 6. Michigan, 7. Minnesota, 7. But because of the tiebreaker, Minnesota goes to 8. But if they let that onside kick happen, those referees, they screwed my Gophers. We had Michigan beat. We had Michigan beat USC. 9th, Rutgers, Washington, Nebraska, Wisconsin, UCLA, Michigan State, Northwestern, Maryland, and Purdue. That was the 2024 recap. The continuity table. We've talked about this before. People returning productions, coming back, offense, defense. We will skip over that. This is what is coming back for each team. What is coming back for each team? Production, offense, and defense. I'm going to skip over that as well. Illinois and Indiana both returned top 40 levels of production after last season's surprise runs, which is awfully intriguing. In other words, Indiana and Illinois are bringing a lot of back. They're bringing a lot of production back. Ohio State and Oregon, they lost quite a bit. Penn State returnings are in the top 25 after reaching the semifinal last year. This is the 2025 projections. SP Plus. You look at offense and defense. Ohio State, number 1 in the Big Ten. Number 1 in the nation. SP Plus, Bill Connelly loves the Buckeyes. He loves Penn State. He loves Oregon. 1, 2, 3. 1, 3, 7. He's got Michigan. He's basically got Michigan just squeaking into the playoffs. He's got Illinois finishing 19th in the nation, 5th in the conference. Indiana, 23 in the nation, 6th in the conference. Iowa, USC, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Washington, Minnesota, Rutgers, UCLA, Michigan State, Maryland, Northwestern, and Purdue. We can skip over that part. I want to show you this. This is the conference wins projections. Ohio State at 7.7. So Conley believes the Buckeyes 8-1, about 8-1. A little bit better chance of winning 8 games than 7. Penn State, Oregon, Michigan, Illinois, Iowa, Indiana, USC, Nebraska, Washington, Wisconsin, Minnesota. Rutgers, UCLA, Michigan State, Maryland, Northwestern, Purdue. And then even with the uncertainty and variance I bake into these conference titles, it's very much a Big Four versus everyone else. With Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, Michigan combining for a 70% chance of winning the league, it feels as it should be closer to 90%. And it's the same thing with the SEC, Bill Connelly. His top 4 was about the same percentages. So that is Bill Connelly's projections. I will put a link in the description box. You can read the whole thing, but Bill Connelly loves his Buckeyes. He loves the Nittany Lions. He's given a lot of respect to the Ducks, but he loves the Buckeyes. Even with everything they lost, Bill Connelly's got Ohio State number 1 in the Big Ten and number 1 in the nation. Okay. Let's get to the main part of the monologue. talking about the North Carolina money perch. But before I get to that, I want to make something perfectly clear, because I've been on X today. I've had a lot of discussions with a lot of people. I want to make something very clear to everybody before we get on to the money perch. When I talk about the House settlement, when I talk about a possible CBA sometime in the future, when I talk about the elimination of pay-to-play inducements, I am not talking about or taking shots at any particular program. Every time I talk about it on X, I get the same fan bases telling me to basically stuff it in a locker. Greg, shut up. My DMs are filled with these messages. Every time I talk about trying to get a hold of pay-for-play inducements and letting players benefit from their true name, image, and likeness, and having the settlement, it's the best we got right now. It's the best we got. We don't know. The chances of it being codified are really small, but everyone's going for it. All your schools are going for it. They're trying to get it done. I'm not taking shots at anybody. I'm not. If your school has a huge NIL advantage, great. Fantastic. You're still going to have a big NIL advantage. No, that's not being taken away. It shouldn't. It can't. It won't. I am all for corporations, businesses, giving student athletes name, image, and likeness commercial deals. I'm all for billionaires with their companies giving NIL deals for their student athletes that they want to support. I'm all for corporation. I'm all for all that stuff. It's the inducement payments that we got to get rid of, that the NFL has gotten rid of, the NBA has gotten rid of. These inducement payments are not involved in any of these sport leagues. None of them. The only money you get as a player is the contract that you sign and real commercial NIL deals, which are a lot lower than a lot of these NIL deals, which aren't really NIL deals, that these college players are getting paid today. You can't have inducements in college football because then nothing matters. Everything collapses. It doesn't matter if you have a CBA. It doesn't matter. It's going to collapse if you have inducements. If you have people paying bags of cash to a player and you're still going to have that, it's got to be against the rules. And if it's caught, it's bad for the player, very bad for the player, and bad for the person who's given the... LeBron James has not made as much money as he could have in the wild, wild west of basketball. The NBA has had max contracts on LeBron James. The NFL has a hard cap. All that has been done through a CBA. We don't have a CBA here. But if we did, and when we get one, the payment inducements still have to be eliminated. You are never going to have a draft. You're not going to be able to draft for players out of high school. These student athletes are going to be able to choose where they want to go to school. So if you don't have a draft, labor already has one big thing up on ownership. Okay, fine. This is the world we live in. That's tough schools. That's too bad. The student athletes have that advantage. They're not going to get drafted. They're going to go where they want to go. But you can have player inducements as part of the process. And I brought this up on X, not just today, but on other live shows. Do you ever wonder why all the lawyers and agents, and I know some of them watch the show because they send me nasty DMs. Do you ever notice that none of them talk about the type of CBA they want? Never. Never do they talk about it. They talk about, oh, they need a CBA, but they never tell you what type. They don't want to go down that road. They just want to destroy any possibility of the codification. They just want to destroy everything around them and then get a CBA to their liking. But they don't want to tell you what they like right now. I've asked, man. I've asked in public and I've asked in a DM and I haven't gotten one bleeping answer yet. Not a one. Not a one. And I'm the bad guy. All these lawyers, some of them represent the agents. All these really smart people, they cannot tell you any details of a CBA that they would like to see in college sports. I tell you what, we just had an article, we just had reports today. We just had reports today about MLL commissioners saying this will not hold up. This structure is dead. It will not no longer work. This economic structure in MLB will no longer work. Why is that? Why is that? Why is the MLB commissioner coming out and saying that? Because they got a CBA that destroyed the sport. Oh, congratulations, you got a CBA. Congratulations, the CBA favored the top couple percent of the baseball players. Congratulations. I hope everybody can stand up on their soapbox and say, yes, I'm for workers' rights. The top 2% have pillared everything else. And MLB is a disaster. Is that what you want in college football? Honest to God, is that what you want? Where a couple of agents and a couple of billionaires control everything. Is that what you want in college sports? I don't. Well, I tell you what I would like in a CBA. I would like, because I'm not afraid to say it, I would like a soft cap. I would like an NBA structure. I would like a cap for the players to be revenue, get have contracts, CBA, but a soft cap in which there are different layers of cap. You've got your first tier, in which every team opts in. That's what they got to pay for the student athletes and within their whole athletic department. That's basically what we got now, $20.5 million. But then you got another level that you can pay up to. And not every team has to go to that level. But if you go to that level, there's certain things that you got to do as a franchise, as a athletic department. Maybe you got to give a little bit money to some sort of fund. And then there is the next level, in where you really can go bigger on rev share. If you've got that money, you can take advantage of your rich donors. You can take advantage of your rich athletic departments. You can take advantage, if you're a big-time program, you've got that ability within that CBA to give student athletes even more money. But then there's going to be some luxury tax, a little bit here, a little bit there, that goes to a certain fund that might help student athletes with mental issues or whatever fund that money goes to, go ahead. A soft cap, where if you are a big time athletic department that has a big billionaire, whatever it is, a soft cap, different levels, different aprons. So not necessarily a hard cap like the NFL, but not Major League Baseball. What a unbelievable, terrible situation Major League Baseball is under. Congratulations to the top 1% of the players. Congratulations. Congratulations to the agents. But don't bring that in here. And by the way, salary cap, whether it be it soft, different aprons, hard cap. None of it can allow for what? Inducement payments, pay for play, fake NIL deals. That can't be part of it either. So I just wanted to bring that up. I'm not picking on Texas Tech. I'm not picking on BYU. I'm not picking on anybody who's got a billionaire. Congratulations, baby. Congratulations. But if you think you're the only school that's got a billionaire, just wait. If we go down the wild, wild west, if we completely just have no guardrails, if this codification doesn't work and the settlement goes under, you could have programs. You could have a Stanford. You could have billions of dollars flowing in and then flowing out, none of it getting to the Olympic sports. Total destruction of anything that resembles college football. That's been my point the whole time. So, I just wanted to make that clear. Now that I've pissed everybody off again, I am not picking on anybody. Nobody. There are going to be, I'll give an example. University of Minnesota, for the first time, they've got a bunch of alumnus getting together to put money towards real NIL deals for hockey players. The money has always been there, but the University of Minnesota has pushed away NIL deals because they wanted to make sure they did everything by the law, by the letter of the law. They didn't want to. There are lots of schools out there with lots of money that has not even come into the market yet because they have wanted, corporations have wanted to do business deals with universities all across this country, and they're finally getting some of that done. You are going to all see real corporate business NIL deals with players all up and down these athletic departments. These gymnasts, these track and field, they're going to be getting $5,000, $10,000 in real NIL name, image, and likeness deals more than ever because these corporations finally feel there's stability, there's rules, there's guardrails around this. There's going to be more money for more student athletes and NIL deals. That is what we should be looking for, right? More opportunities, more scholarships. We should not create a system. You can call me a commie pinko, and no one has ever called me that before. But we should not have a system in which the top 2% of the student athletes like MLB make all the damn money. And this whole thing that, oh geez, the football players should not be subsidizing the swim team. Your university subsidizes the football players. Your university subsidizes the football players. Your football player, your left tackle who's making $300,000, try creating a semi-pro league for 18 to 21-year-old and see if you can have that semi-pro league make any profit if you're spending $300,000 on a 19-year-old left tackle that most of the country's never heard of. That's another point. Your football program is being subsidized. So yeah, that money that the football programs are making, of course, that should help build opportunity for the other student athletes at your university. That is my opinion. Give me yours. Let's get to it. All right. Here we go. Helmer Henderson, I'm a bit upset if I was Barry Alvarez. I think you're talking about Wisconsin. Boy, they got a tough schedule. Thank you, Helmer Henderson. I appreciate your super chat. Wisconsin, I don't know what's going to happen. They've got a tough road to hoe. Expedition Greg, thank you so much for your super chat, for your generosity. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Exactly. United Football League. How many do you think they're making? I could go on and on and on. Money brings more problems. North Carolina Money Perch. North Carolina Money Perch. Separate football divisions or separate football conferences? There is even an option with this dissolution theory. The North Carolina Money Perch has told us in the last 24 hours, not me directly, but BTM and his associates, that schools in the ACC are taking basically what Radakovich said in public, and they're talking about in private. And they're talking about the option on whether, if, not even if really, but if the ACC schools, top brands, decide to use the tool that is available to them in the settlement, ACC settlement, if they should decide to separate themselves as a single football conference, or separate in a separate division. That is a real option among a lot of options that the ACC schools are talking about. According to North Carolina Money Perch, separating into its own division in the ACC. So they won't even leave the conference. That is an option. They won't even leave the conference, but they would go back into divisions and they'd be unequal number of teams in each division. The scheduling would all have to change, of course. And they're going to get more of the revenue money because they're going to get the higher viewership. That is an option that they're talking about, a real option. Radakovich talked about it in public, where he put off a remark saying to the effect of, maybe we should split divisions if the SEC goes to 9 conference games. That's what Radakovich said. In other words, he was projecting, if the SEC goes to 9 conference games, and then possibly have a crossover with the Big Ten, there's going to be less games for us, our ACC top brands, and out-of-conference scheduling. So therefore, we need to have our top brands play the top brands more often. We got to make sure they're playing each other every single year. And that is splitting into divisions, brand division and non-brand division. Now, Radakovich said if, in public, if the SEC goes to 9 conference games, the North Carolina Money Perch has let us know that it's being talked about, that possibility is being talked about, and it doesn't have to do with any decision the Southeastern Conference makes 8 versus 9 conference games. This is something that the ACC top schools are talking about. Look, Florida State has, they're going through a long list of options. They've been talking to the Big Ten of the SEC. Same thing with Miami. Same thing with North Carolina. Same thing with all these schools. That clandestine phone call with several Big 12 schools, several ACC schools with Smash Capital, we believe that was part of a potential super league among those 2 conferences. I poked and prodded on that clandestine phone call. I even went so far to say, if that is a clandestine phone call where some of the Big 12 schools and some of the ACC schools would get together for a different conference, this single football conference that is part of the ACC settlement, what would the Big 12 schools have to do? What would 6 or 8 of the Big 12 schools have to do to lead the Big 12 conference? I was told, this was yesterday, I was told that the Big 12, the only way the Big 12 schools could leave and not go into a big court fight was to have 12 teams of the 16 sign off to dissolve the conference based on the Big 12 bylaws. And it was told to me that nobody thinks that's going to happen. So what the ACC is doing, the schools, the top brand schools are talking with the Big Ten and the SEC, right? They're doing that. The ACC, some schools are talking with some Big 12 schools and the option of this potential super league among the two conferences. Not a merger, but they are under the Super League umbrella. The other option they're talking about is the dissolution. Either 6 or more ACC schools leave the ACC and form their single sport conference while their other sports remain in the ACC, or separate divisions. 2 divisions, back to divisional play in the ACC. Back to divisional play. They're socialized. They're talking about it. North Carolina Money Perch has been all over this. He's been dead nails from the beginning in the Holy Smokes Theater. North Carolina has got so many different options that they're talking about. So many different kinds. One of the pressure points at Chapel Hill is there is truly a provincial faction. They do not want to say bye to their brethren in the ACC. Some of them, they don't want to say bye to. They don't want to say bye to North Carolina State. They want to have North Carolina State. They want to have Virginia. They want to have Duke next to them. They even want Georgia Tech. That is what's going on. There are people that have interest at Chapel Hill that are firmly with the Southeastern Conference. People in the Board of Governors, people in the Board of Regents. There are different factions in the Chapel Hill. You got the Board of Governors, you got politics, you got Virginia and Virginia Tech. So the option of a different single sport football conference, 6+ schools in the ACC, it is real. It's not about a big old super league. The North Carolina Money Perch says this option that is in the settlement is not for just in case there is a super league of 70 teams or 50 teams or 48 teams. That's not what this is about. It's not what it's about. If it was a super league situation of schools in the Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, that ain't going to happen anyways until 2030. None of that is going to happen to 2030, 31. And by that time, the settlement's going to be $75 million to get out of the ACC anyways. No. This part of the settlement that Matt Baker from The Athletic broke, this is definitely about the ACC top brands forming their own football conference or football division under the ACC conference. There's two options. The North Carolina Money Perch finished up his communication with BTM and Associates and said the following. North Carolina got everything they wanted. Everything. They've got interest from the Big Ten and the SEC. They've got this thing. They got Florida State and Clemson out of the courts. They got the ACC out of the courts. They didn't do it, but that happened. They've got options. They've got the ACC settlement in which there could be this dissolution. Everything that Bubba Cunningham talked to then Chancellor Kevin Guswich saying, I wish we could look at this. I wish we could do this. I wish we could have a contracted ACC. On June 30th, 2022, according to Brian Murphy, WRAL FOIA request, communication between Bubba Cunningham and Kevin Guswich. Bubba Cunningham says, we got to look at reimagining the conference. We got to look at contraction. That's what this is. The possibility of contracting the ACC football part of the conference. Also, Brian Murphy, WRAL, also said, in accordance to FOIA requests, had communication. Bubba Cunningham had communication with his longtime friend and part-time consultant, former Big Ten Commissioner Jim Delaney, about his idea. And Jim Delaney said to Bubba Cunningham, be patient, be patient. Bubba Cunningham has been patient. That was June 30th, 2022, right? It is July 19th, 2025. North Carolina has the options. Which way are they going to go? Which way are they going to go? Well, a lot of it has to do with politics. Not just dollars and cents. A lot of it has to do with politics. The Board of Governors is the major piece. The backpack, wolf pack, North Carolina State. Virginia and Virginia Tech politics. Going the dissolution route, whatever option you want to use. Separate division or separate conference. The dissolution part actually is the easiest part. Is the easiest route politically, legally. Economically, if you go into division, you've got to weigh that extra money that you're going to get in viewership and all that versus going to your own single football conference in the media negotiations that you can go under, having the top 8 brands of the ACC, new media negotiations, ESPN or whoever, streaming company, whatever, and see how much money you can get from that. North Carolina's gotten everything they want. It's also going to be, North Carolina knows the interest that the SEC and the Big Ten has. SEC knows the political difficulties that North Carolina is under. Could this be the route that North Carolina takes? And if they're willing to go for it, does Florida State and Clemson, do they go with it? They have to be part of it. If Florida State and Clemson, if they haven't gotten any steam from the SEC of the Big Ten, because everyone's looking at North Carolina, they want that domino piece to fall first. Florida State and Clemson needs to be on board with this. And they were when it comes to making sure that this was part of the settlement with the ACC. So, the best that North Carolina could have done is to have options. They didn't have any options a year ago. Florida State had no options a year ago. Clemson had no options a year ago. They were going to be under the same media contract up until 2036. Miami, North Carolina, Florida State, and Clemson, now they have options. Which one are they going to take? There's a whole lot of different variables to it all. But in the dissolution theory, they've got two options. A separate division or a separate conference. That is what the North Carolina Money Purchase told us in the last 24 hours. A big old train of communication between him and BTEM and his associates. North Carolina Money Perch is on a perch. By the way, he's pro, and I've said this before. This is all I'm going to say about him. He is pro Big Ten. North Carolina going to the Big Ten, but he is in the minority of all the boosters. The money perch is at North Carolina. The money perch at North Carolina, the vast majority of them wants North Carolina to enter into the Southeastern Conference. Without a doubt. That is the big money that is sitting there in North Carolina, the big money that helped Belichick become the head coach, the power players, the politicians. They want that lever to go with the Southeastern Conference. So this dissolution theory is options that I think most of North Carolina Chapel Hill believe is better than what they've got going on right now. But SEC is still the chalk. But North Carolina Money Perch, making sure we all know. Two different options in the dissolution theory, and they are actually talking about it. They are. Inside the ACC, the top brands of the ACC. Okay, let's get to it. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333 if you want to talk about Bill Conley's. Loving the Ohio State Buckeyes. Let me know in a phone call. If you want to talk about the Oregon Ducks spotlight that we did.
Call from
Joe.
I'm sorry, did not get the name.
Joe,
thanks for calling, Joe. I appreciate it. The floor is yours.
I'm one of your original listeners, following you all the way back to Twitter 20 times a day.
Oh, appreciate it.
Never called in. The long story short, I'll be quick.
Yep.
You had a gentleman on last night talking about going up to 18 or 20 games, and it wasn't fair to the kids.
Yeah.
These kids are being paid now. I'd say it's fair, and anything's a fair game as far as how much they're getting paid. The other thing I wanted to point out, and I know you're a Big Ten guy, so you don't like to say this very often, but as long as the ESPN has SportsCenter, it is not really fair because of the misinformation they're putting out about how great all of their teams are. We really need to go to automatic qualifiers. The 5+11 just doesn't work with them out there. That's all I got for you today, Greg.
You got it, Joe. Call again, sir. Appreciate it, my man.
Talk to you later.
Beautiful call. I'm guilty. I'm guilty of flip-flopping on the whole automatic qualifiers and 5+11. I was not for the automatic qualifiers. I still have problems with it. Because it's too permanent to me. I want a little bit of flexibility. It's why I like the CBA, because it can get renegotiated. But that ain't going to be happening, so we got to get this thing codified. But my point is, I flip-flopped. I'm guilty. I heard all the information. I heard the arguments. I listened to Josh Pate. I listened to Joe Klatt. Then I listened to Tony Petitti. The automatic qualifiers blow away the 5+11. But this is the problem I have with Tony Petitti. If you really believe in the automatic qualifier position, if you really believe it, then you got to get up there on a Tuesday. You got to get up there on a Tuesday and you've got to lay it out. You got to fight for it. And you've got to make it so the Big 12 and the ACC can have a buy-in to it. Because right now, your 4-4-2-2-1-3, it's not good enough. It ain't good enough. It ain't good enough. You're not even giving the Big 12 and the ACC a play-in game. You're not even giving them a play-in game. You got to give them a play-in game. So 4-4-3-3. Now the Big 12 and ACC people say, Greg, that's not fair. The Big 10 sucks, blah, blah, blah. SEC, you saw what happened to them. We all should have the same automatic qualifiers. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not trying to present to you the most fair equity playoff system. I'm trying to get something that will pass and at the same time have some flexibility built into it. I'm a complete total believer that the Big 12 can win have a team in the Big 12 win the national championship for the next 2 years. I got no problem with that. I got no problem with the ACC winning the national championship for the next 2 years and then having their AQ go from 3 to 4. Whatever. I'm fine with flexibility. Western Civics playoff flexibility. I'm fine with it, man. I'm fine with it. But give me AQs. And we got to face reality, just like with the CBA codification thing. The CBA ain't nowhere close to happening anytime soon. The SEC and the Big Ten, they have power. They've got more power. They just do. So to get this through, the only way I see it getting through is you got to give the ACC and the Big 12 another AQ. You got to give them 3 each. And then you got to have 3 at-large bids. So Brett Yormark can go to his Big 12 institutions and say, look, we went from 2 AQs to 3 AQs, and we're not capped at 3. But more importantly, Greg Sankey can go to his schools and say, we got 4. It's not what you wanted, but we still got 3 automatic. We still got 3 at-large bids. We got 3 at-large bids. And by the way, in this, we can stay at 8 conference games if we want. So therefore, we're going to get more at-large. Mathematically, the metrics show we're going to get more than 4. But the biggest reason why I'm for this AQ model is because it puts more value in the regular season for everybody. More schools are in it later in the season. More fan bases know exactly what they need to do to get into the playoffs, to get into a play-in game. It ain't going to be about propaganda. It ain't going to be about metrics. It's going to be about wins and losses for the most part. Those 3 at-large bids are going to be tied strongly to what you do in your non-conference play. To have those 3 at-large bids in an 18-team playoff field is going to make non-conference games better. I think 18 4-4-3-3-1-3 is the way to go. It has not been brought up in public yet. They're probably not talking about it. If Tony Petitti goes up there and says 4-4-2-2-1-3, it's dead, baby. It's absolutely dead in the water. And on the other side, if Tony Petitti goes up there and says 4-4-3-3-1-1, I think the SEC looks at it and says, what the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? We're only going to get 4 bid. We only have a chance to get 25% of the teams in the playoffs. Is that what you're telling us? That's why I think it's got to go 4-4-3-3-1-3. But anyways, the phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. I got to tell you, you all know that I've been ripping on Silent Tony for months and months and months and months and months and months. I gave him his flowers during that Joe Klatt interview. I gave him his flowers. I thought he did a great job. But those flowers have wilted. Nobody has been watering those flowers. Tony Petitti's got to go up there on a Tuesday morning, July 22nd, or if he gets interviewed on Monday, July 21st, but whatever. You get up in front of that microphone. If you want this, and this is important, this college football playoff format is important. If you want to get up there and you want to fight for your vision in front of a lot of people, not just a one-on-one interview, but in front of a lot of people, you got to fight for it. You've got to talk about it. You've got to say how much it's going to increase everybody's value within the regular season, which is what the playoff is all about, just like the NFL, and you got to fight for it. And you've got to expand it even a little bit more to get the ACC and the Big 12 through the front door and expand it even a little bit more to make sure the SEC don't go out the back window. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333.
Call from
Humble Bumble Duck.
Humble Bumble Duck is on the line. Now he's going to yell at me because I said something wrong in the Duck spotlight tonight. I threw a player under the table, under the bus. I don't know who that was, but I did something wrong. Humble Bumble Duck, be nice. Give me grace. Give me grace. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Greg, you know what? I felt it was time to break the seal.
Yes.
It is my team. I didn't even know it was going to be my team today. I've been a season ticket holder since 1977, since I was a little kid.
Holy smokes.
And, yep, long time. My parents are Ducks. Grandparents are Ducks. My grandfather played basketball for the Ducks, and my uncle ran track for the Ducks.
Wow.
Just everybody's a Duck in my family. So,
wow.
I actually thought you did a great job on what you spoke about. I don't really have any issues with what you said, to be quite honest, but I just thought it would be kind of fun to call in for this one and, give you and or everyone in the PATC community, an open invitation to my tailgaters that I throw at every game.
Oh.
We have a 6-hour tailgater before every game.
Holy.
And probably have, I probably think we had 30 Ohio State fans at my tailgater.
Wow.
For Ohio State game last year, which was on my birthday weekend. And this year we have Indiana on my birthday.
Wow. Excellent.
Yeah. And I don't miss games. I'm going to be one of those old dudes that you see on TV, like in ESPN, that's been to 312 straight games. I haven't missed a home game since. I don't think I've missed a home game since maybe middle school or high school.
Wow.
So I go to all of them, literally.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I am a sicko, as you say.
Yes, you are a true college football sicko. That is unbelievable. Wow. Now, look, I'm not going to be able to make it for the Gopher game.
I would help get you. I'd even help you and the little general get tickets if you need it. So
yeah, that would be great. But I'm going to make sure. I'm going to make sure the day before that game, I'm going to step out in front of a moving bus. If that, so. I
don't know.
Huh?
I don't know about that.
I don't
know about that. I think Minnesota's going to be fine. I'm a big believer in good coaching.
Yeah.
And there are certain teams that no matter who they play, no matter what day it is, they got a chance because their coach keeps them in it.
We're going to be fine. I think we're going to be fine, especially if Drake Lindsay is who we think he is. Most of the country doesn't even know who he is. But if
Yeah.
he is what we think, we're gonna be fine. But look, the matchup. We don't match up with Oregon. We're not even close. We don't. We're not. We're not. We can't. Look, it's the same thing. Here's the thing. Oregon, in my opinion, when we go to Oregon and play, Oregon is going to keep doing. They're going to keep doing what is successful, and the Gophers are not going to be able to stop it. That offense, we're not going to be able to stop that. It's like USC last year. Gophers were outmanned against USC, but USC refused to keep doing what worked for them against Minnesota and handed over the game to us. Oregon's not going to do that. So they're going to pick us
apart.
apart.
In that area.
Huh?
Lincoln Riley's a pro in that area.
Yeah. So Oregon ain't going to give us the game, and we're not going to be able to. Our linebackers. Oregon is good. Oregon with that short passing game, knowing where everybody is.
Yes.
They don't do max protection at Oregon. They expect the quarterback to know the receiver is. The receivers, the running backs out of the backfield. That kills the Gophers. We don't have the linebacker. We can't match up with anything like that. If you want to run at us, if you want to do a power game, if you want to play the game in a phone booth, we're going to do okay. We might throw that lucky punch. We might beat you. But Oregon ain't going to do that. They're gonna spread us out. Dante Moore is going to complete 70% of his passes that game, and that game ain't going to be pretty. And Friday night, Oregon's going to be rocking. It's going to be just terrible.
Will Stein is pretty conservative with the football, so he keeps a lot of stuff underneath. Most of Oregon's bigger plays are great athletes in space. So that's kind of their thing, which is why it just wasn't a good matchup against Ohio State last year. I was at the Rose Bowl, and I watched that bare-bottom spanking in person. And, I was one of my only friends that stayed for the whole game because I just kind of wanted – it's like I went all that way. Why would I leave in the first quarter like a couple of my friends did? But I felt quite fortunate to get an Ohio State win on my birthday at home. That was a top 3 for me, bucket list. Like, wow. And I thought Ohio State was better when they played us there. I just thought, we got the breaks and it worked out. And our stadium's loud. And we had Ohio State fans all around me in my section.
Yeah.
And they were all covering their ears.
Yeah.
They were standing there covering their ears. It's really loud, and it's hard to explain. It's like having a jet engine in your ear.
Yeah.
When Oregon's on defense on third down and short, it is literally like having your ears in a jet engine. You can't hear anything. You can't even hear your friend next to you that you're trying to talk to. Yeah. So you have to experience it before you can say, it's not that loud. Now, to be fair.
Yeah. And that's the thing, once in a while, while I'm sitting in the studio in the middle of Loserville City and I'm the mayor, sometimes I get caught up in my Gopher propaganda, right? Sometimes I actually start believing the stuff I'm putting out there. And then when I think about it, once in a while, reality hits. And I think about our true freshman quarterback, Drake Lindsay. He's going to be going to Columbus, the shoe. He's going to be going to Iowa City, the house of horrors for Minnesota, because we can outgain Iowa by 150 yards like we usually do, but still lose the game because of the special teams play. And then he's got to go play at Oregon, Austin Stadium. I mean, it is, that kid is going to be drinking out of a fire hose during the 2025 season.
Well, Fernando Mendoza's already played in Eugene for Cal.
Yeah.
So he's already been here. But, I'm a realist, and I was telling all my friends last year that we were really lucky to be at Ohio State. I thought Ohio State was better. They have better players. They're bigger, faster, stronger at the positions that matter. And I think that kind of showed itself that they kind of just steamrolled everybody. As soon as they got that ticket to get in the door,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, this tournament's ours.
Yeah.
But
What
I
do you think?
will say this.
Yeah.
I have been to Tennessee. I went to the Oregon-Tennessee game in 2010, and that's the loudest stadium I've ever been in. Tennessee was louder than Austin, in my opinion. But there's 110,000 seats versus 57 that we have. So all things are relative. But I personally think Tennessee is the loudest place.
What do you think of Oregon this year? What do you think they can repeat as Big Ten champions? The Penn State game at Penn State. What are you looking at?
I kind of don't really feel it from that perspective. I see too many holes, and I think the quarterback position is massive. If Dante Moore can just play solid and move the sticks on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. And the offense can stay out of 2nd and long situations in the big games, I think they could probably go 10-2 maybe, something like that. But I'm kind of penning it at 9.2 and a half and 2.5, maybe in that range.
Yeah.
Or 9.5 and 2.5, I guess is what I would say, versus 9-3 or 10-2, somewhere in there. But we play at Iowa, which I think is going to be very tough, and we play at Washington this year. So,
yeah.
And obviously at Penn State, which is a whiteout game.
Yes, that's going to be fantastic.
So,
that's going to be NBC at night. That's going to be great. Now, I love Mekhi Hughes. I watched a lot of him at Tulane last year and the year before.
He looks pretty good. He looked pretty good in the spring game. He's a very north-south runner.
Yes.
And he's very good at breaking contact, which is actually similar to Jordan James.
Well,
and I think he was brought in to kind of... But the don't sleep on the backups at Oregon. I mean, there's Whittington and DeJuan Riggs, and they're 5 deep. Jaden Lamar, who's breakaway speed. There's 5 guys there after him. So it's not like a shallow set of chairs there.
Yep. And then your tight end, he could have a massive season this year. Sadiq.
Yeah, I'm a little more worried about the tight end position from the blocking type of thing, like on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 when he's not on the field. But he's going to get end arounds. He's going to get short passes. He's such a good athlete, as you saw in the Penn State Big Ten championship game. Did you see him hurdle the guy on the opening drive?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a ridiculous athlete, and I think he's put on like another 15 pounds in the offseason. So he's kind of a beast.
Yeah.
He's a spectacular athlete. But the depth at tight end, I'm a little worried about, but I still am most worried about quarterback, linebacker, and maybe punter. I know that sounds weird to say, but if your punter is kicking at 38, 35 yards when you're on your own 7, that's not really very good.
Yeah.
So it's a concern.
Yeah.
For sure. Anything else you want to know about Oregon? Anything else you want to know about Oregon? Just ask. I'm all ears, and I thought this would be a nice call for me to break the seal and call your lovely community. I really enjoy your show. I enjoy your perspective, and it actually makes me laugh listening to people every time they mention Oregon. Oh, Phil Knight. Oh, NIL. Oh, bag. Oh, money. Oh, and they have no idea how well organized Oregon is. Oregon is so well organized with their NIL collective that they do have. I mean, it is like a corporate structure on the process that they take kids and their parents through. It's a commitment. It's long-term. It's solid. And they feel like they're just not going, hey, here's your bag. Go play football for us. Yeah. It's very, very intricate. And every time Oregon gets a recruit against anyone, oh, yeah, Oregon dropped the bag and Nike money. And I'm like, well, uneducated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people just don't know. But that's fine. Let them think what they want to think. Especially when USC cries about money. That's the best part.
Yeah. All right, man. Beautiful.
Black on that one. Hey, thank you for everything. I appreciate your show, and hope everybody has a great weekend.
Call again, okay? Please call again.
I will. Thanks, man. You have a great one.
You too.
Take care. Bye.
Beautiful call by Humble Bumble Duck. Excellent call. I love it. I love it. That's why we do this show, because of calls like that. Calling in, talking about your team. You are the expertise of your team. Beautiful call. Love it. And again, I've said this before. There's going to be very, 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 very good NIL deals. It's always going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. Nobody's taking away these NIL deals. At Oregon, at Texas Tech, at BYU, at Stanford, at Iowa, whatever you want to talk, whatever school you want to talk about. NIL deals are going to still happen through a corporate commercial enterprise, name, image, and likeness, but not a company that makes $150,000 on the books and then they give a kid $200,000. That stuff ain't going to happen anymore. That is being eliminated. But NIL deals where the student athletes make money on their NIL, name, image, and likeness for profit, for a commercial, for a profit, company for profit. That is exactly what it should be for. And then your rev share. More student athletes are making more money this year than ever before, and that's a great thing because of the settlement. Even though it came at it, even though we finally got to this point, in a way we should have gone a different route, but here we are. Here we are. It's a great call. Great, great call. Excellent. Stephen Vitt, Oregon should be in the Big Ten title hunt again this year. Maybe just not as explosive as they were last year. This year feels wide open. There doesn't seem to be any elite team that's head and shoulders above anyone else like most years. I mean, even like the Texas Longhorns, who I've got winning it all. I mean, Arch Manning, I think he's going to be spectacular because of his high school tapes. It's like Texas has got a guy who hasn't faced any live, Dante Moore, Bryce Underwood, Sayin. You can go right down the list of quarterbacks, especially in the SEC and the Big Ten, and a lot of them haven't faced the live action, at least a lot of it. The Big 12's got experienced quarterbacks, some in the ACC as well. Klubnik, Miller Moss, Thomas Cassiano. So you got guys who have faced the music. But there's a lot of guys. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks. There's a lot of quarterbacks where we really don't know. We think we know, but we don't know, in my opinion. I'm so happy to hear that Greg is picking the evil horns. Skaven, yes, yes. Skaven, yes, yes. You have made a fundamental mistake, Cornhusker. If I'm picking the Longhorns, it means that the Longhorns are going to win it all, Skaven, yes, yes, because this year is not Greg the Cold.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I love
Greg the Cold has faded away.
Eyes fade to gray as you fade away.
Rest in peace, Greg the Cold.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay? Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby, have a taste.
I was just starting to rock out.
Call from
Rock and Rant.
Is this Rock and Rant?
It is, sir.
Thanks for calling. You just saved everybody because I had Greg the Cold music on and nobody likes it. Nobody likes it, but that's fine because Greg the Cold will not be around this year. Rock and Rant, the floor is yours. Let it rip.
Hey, at least you aren't playing Coldplay, man.
Yes. Yeah, I
No,
don't
you
even.
might-
Yeah.
You should play Coldplay. I mean, for your cold side, like Coldplay actually
I-
is the best.
Yeah, I'm not a
Work.
Coldplay. I'm not a Coldplay. I'm not a Coldplay type of guy, I guess.
Yeah, neither are any CEOs anymore. So,
Yeah.
so you and I will never agree on the 5 and 11 versus the 8QQ, but I will meet you in the middle. But I don't think your 18 team idea is a bad idea, and at all. It's like meeting in the middle between disagreeing and agreeing. I know where you stand on the 8QQs. I have a very different perspective. My perspective is, well, if you do that, you're signaling to all these Big 12 and ACC schools in their recruiting base that they're half as good as those two conferences. And while all the talent's being dispersed right now, in 4 or 5 years, the talent stops getting dispersed the same way because it's a massive recruiting issue already for Florida State, Clemson, and Miami. ACC examples versus the SEC, and to a lesser degree the Big Ten. You're magnifying it. And while, yes, they'll get one more in now, when the deal comes up in a few years, if the talent disperses, there might be a different argument, which is that you should go down because the talent's not there anymore, despite the equalization we're seeing right now. But to not just argue that point over and over again to the point of ridiculousness, everyone is giving you grief on your 18 team thing, right? Which I understand. Nobody seems to have an issue with 64 or 79 or 425 in basketball. If you went to 18 in the FBS, you would still, even at 18, still be as a percentage of members, close to the lowest percentage of teams in a Division I major sport or any of the other football divisions, percentage of teams making the playoffs. Because if I do the rough math, your version gets you to about 13.5% of all of FBS, depending upon a team joining and moving up or what have you. And Division II football is at almost 17%, and everything else, FCS football is at 18.5%. Women's soccer, women's volleyball, men's basketball, all those other sports have a higher percentage of the team. So I don't love it because it's still making a couple of conferences feel inferior, but at least on paper they say they have a chance to equal out in a reasonable way. So I don't think your proposal is that high, and it doesn't seem ridiculous relative to the percentage of all the other sports we talk about.
But yeah, but and of course I agree with you because it's my idea. but
the numbers say that you're not going ridiculous.
But I have this gut feeling, and it's just a feeling that I don't think they're going to be able to. I don't think. God, I wish I was at that Big Ten media day because it would be the question. If they would give me one question, I would ask, what about 18, Tony? What about 18 teams? 4, 4, 3, 3, 1, 3. Just shout it out there. And then have the security guards haul me away. Although it's going to take quite a few security guards to lift me out of there. But
you need somebody, big, with big voice and, big bones.
Big bones. And, try to find a stretch. Anyways, but I don't know if I think 18, it might not seem radical to a guy like you and me who are trying to push the envelope on all these ideas, right? You and I, we go back and forth. I mean, these commissions, I think it would be difficult for Petita to go, what about 18? I mean, I don't know. Hopefully Hopefully it gets brought up, but I bet it doesn't. I just have this.
Oh, I don't think it's going to. All I'm trying to do is say for people who are giving you grief about it,
Yeah.
your percentage, even at 18, is still the most exclusive of the major sports in college that people think about, women's, including the women's stuff, volleyball, basketball, what have you, right?
Yeah.
Men's baseball, hockey, in your zone, it's still the most exclusive. It's the most exclusive still, including going down to Division II football. So it's not that nuts. And we all know, like, we can sit there and say whatever we want. If they need more money because all of these costs are going crazy and it's working when they go to 16, they're going to go to 24 eventually anyway.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not. This has nothing to do. There's not a whole lot of people freaking out that we only had 64 plus 4 play-ins for basketball, and they're still going to go up because they know they can make more money. It wasn't like, wow, team number 69 really got screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going
it's
back.
a reasonable thing that you're proposing.
Going back to your comment about the recruiting and everything, if it's 4-4-2-2-1, we're only half the conference. The other, I get all that. 4-4-3-3-1, it's a little bit easier to take. My fear, and I had a little bit of it last year, Rock and Rat, because I'm a football fan, man. I'm not sitting here. I know sometimes it sounds like, there are times that I agree with the Big Ten and all, but a lot of time I don't root for Big Ten teams to win their games. I'm looking at this thing. I love college football. I watch ACC, man. I watch everything. Rock and Rant. I remember early in the season last year, I said Miami's great, blah blah blah, but that secondary seemed confused, right? Remember I said that, and it just played out that way. Now Miami's got a whole bunch of new secondary people in there. They got Corey Heatherman. I'm excited to watch all of it. I'm excited to watch what Miami does. My biggest fear, and it happened last year, during that season, there was one part of that Big 12 season, it was like, God dang, worst case scenario, Big 12 might not get any teams in. There was that one.
There was a couple weeks.
Yeah, and I don't want that fear. I want the floor to be much higher than it is now. And that includes the Big Ten, by the way. What if there's a season where there's 8 really great Big Ten teams and they just knock each other off, and then suddenly they only have one team in there while they really have 8 great teams, but they all happen to play each other? You know what I'm saying? It's like, listen, I don't know. Go ahead.
I think you're fair. Like, my point the other day when I was kidding that you're trolling the chat is I realize there are people in their chat that you see as saying SEC can do no wrong and the whole thing. I don't think most of the people in the chat are that way. You can be of two mindsets of whether they should go to 8 or you could be completely thinking that everything should be a level playing field in amount of games and also not be in favor of the 4-2-2, right? So I think these conversations tend to get into the black and white. You have to go all the way this way. You have to go all the way that way, as opposed to being, to me, a little bit more nuanced. And my question actually has to, I keep forgetting to bring this up, is I'm fine if we stay in 12. I really don't care. Yeah. I'm fine if everybody goes to 9 playoff games. I would like to know how you propose the ACC do that in the current state with an uneven teams. How do they do that even if they want to do it? Do you say one team gets to count Notre Dame as a conference team just for the purposes of the qualification, so that because 17 is 17, you can tell the ACC they have to get a new team in? How do you do that? I'm not religious about it. I'm fine if the ACC goes to 9 conference games, but how do you do that? Every time we have this conversation, no one addresses. You say, the lawyers don't tell you anything about collective bargaining. Nobody sits there and says, what is the ACC supposed to do if you make them go to 9?
Good point.
You're hey, whoever came in last, don't worry, you're okay. If you go from preseason poll 6th, 17th, and you finish in the playoff with only 8, you're okay. Yeah. No one wants to address it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. And the thing I would just say when it comes to the whole Yormark thing and this, they will probably get back together. The Big Ten and the SEC will probably kiss and make up. They're probably friends. But the only thing they could do right now is Yormark, and whether Phillips was, riding shotgun or running behind and being dragged by a rope to get there, as the horse was running, they at least for the moment broke up the marriage, right?
Yeah.
And even though they still have to come together, the Big Ten and the SEC for the power play at the end of the day, right now at least it's not rocky. It's not good for them. It's rocky, and the more that relationship is rocky, it's better for the Big 12 and the ACC. Even if ultimately you're right and they have to go to the 4-2-2 model.
I'll leave you with this, Rock and Rat. I promise you, because I've thrown a few elbows at Brett Yormark's way lately, and it's sinking. Phillips, whatever. I promise you, if Tony Petitti does not do a good job on Tuesday, if he does not fight for his vision in public, out there, in front of a microphone, answer the question, he's got to go, he's got to do the Joe Klatt interview, but turn it up a notch and give possibilities out there. We could do this, we could do that, whatever. He's got to fight. If he doesn't do that, if he doesn't fight for his vision, I'm coming after him. I'm gonna say that he did a horrible job, and he put a fat guy from Minnesota way out on a limb that I can easily break the limb, fall to the ground, get injured because he put me out there. Tony Petitti's got to fight for this, and if he doesn't fight for it, I'm going to be pissed. Go ahead, sir. Finish it up.
Yeah. Well, last thing I was going to say in terms of next week is, yes, we need to hear what the Big Ten is going to say in front of Petitti. At the same time, the ACC is doing their media days. Like, if a tree falls in the forest, I'm asking people too, because I'm super curious how they keep doing this. The ACC always does this, where they're duplicating with somebody on their media days. I'd be curious for you to poke around on your side, because I realize if you're trying to do it all in July, there's like a weird week because of the 4th of July, and your visibility could be bad, and there's not really a true 4 weeks for everybody to be staggered. But if you're the ACC, it's self-owned to always be going up against most of the time the Big Ten, right? You're not getting that coverage. So would you rather have another week or a shortened period, or like be into the first? I know it's hard because you have to do this before practices open. So do you do it before? Like, do you do the first one and do it in June and get the excitement of being the first media days? It's completely and utterly asinine for the ACC to be doing their media days at the same time as the Big Ten this year. I think it's always the Big Ten. It may have been different conferences in different years, but it's ludicrous for them to do that. They don't get the attention. The best reporters cannot be in two places at the same time. Yeah. And they're almost all going to the Big Ten. So I'm curious if you can find out why they keep doing it, because whoever's just making that decision is really dumb.
Beautiful.
All right, sir. Well, have a great evening.
You too. Thank you, Rock and Rant.
Take care, man. Bye.
Great call. Excellent call. If you are new to the show, or if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to our channel and turn on those notifications. We can come on live at any time. We did a later than usual Saturday night live show. I do appreciate y'all coming in. Please subscribe, smash that like button, and keep your head on a swivel. It's going to be a busy week next week. Tomorrow on a Sunday, we are going to be doing the spotlight. We're going to be putting the spotlight right on the Washington Huskies. Oregon Ducks today, Washington tomorrow. So everybody, please come on aboard PATC live show sometime tomorrow. You got to keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you have those notifications turned on. We did the Oregon Spotlight today. We talked about Bill Conley's review of the Big Ten and what the North Carolina Money Perch told us. If you just joined us, if you missed it, go back and watch it. A lot of information. I want to thank Jimmy Austin Helmer, Henderson, and Expedition Greg for your generosity, your donation to help us keep the lights on here at Peak Around the Corner. I want to thank the great phone calls. We had Humble, Bumble, Duck, Oregon Duck for the first time calling this. Fantastic, fantastic call. Rock and Rant. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate coming on in. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for all the elbows you've given me tonight. I do appreciate it. Keep your head on a swivel. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner, to all of you, please, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.